Investigators found a report from CPS showing that the family did reach out to let them know that there was suspicion of Jarvis Butts messing around with the children within the household. I'm going to share that video with you.
Tonight, the 7 investigators are revealing years of warnings that preceded Butts' alleged crimes.
Warnings that family members say were made to Children's Protective Services that could have saved Naziah's life. Here's what 7 investigator Ross Jones has uncovered.
You look at that face, and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing.
Years before Jarvis Butts would be charged by Wayne County's prosecutor, accused of killing and sexually abusing 13-year-old Naziah Harris, Harris's own relatives say they saw the warning signs and told anyone who would listen.
But at that point, I was like, this is too much. I'm calling CPS.
I tried, not just once, but multiple times, for them to take me serious in what I was saying.
Kiwana Morton and her cousin Jernell are both relatives of Naziah Harris. In February of 2022, Jernell says she learned of allegations of improper touching involving Butts and other small children. She says she was told about the claims while talking to her niece, Jarvis Butts' girlfriend, and that the alleged victims were Naziah Harris and 2 other children.
I was just like, oh my God, I was not crazy. This needs to be looked into.
She says she took the claim seriously in part because Butts was on the sex offender registry, having spent more than 8 years in prison for third-degree criminal sexual conduct. She didn't alert authorities at first because she believed her niece would notify police. But weeks later, Jernell did notify Child Protective Services. Her complaint came in on April 13th, 2022. There was an incident at a birthday party, the complaint reads. One of the children that attended the party accused Jarvis of sexual abuse. Naziah, and name withheld, reported that Jarvis touched both of them inappropriately as well. Jarvis touched, name withheld, in her private area, and it hurt. Jernell made the complaint over the phone.
They basically told me if they needed me for anything else, they would reach out.
The next day, Jernell would receive a text from her niece, Butts' girlfriend, confirming that CPS had contacted her. CPS called me, the text reads. They called about the well-being of my kids. Then they called back to get Jarvis info. A CPS spokeswoman would not tell 7 News Detroit if investigators ever questioned Naziah Harris after receiving the complaint. But we do know it wasn't the only complaint filed with CPS, naming Jarvis Butts.
And it wasn't easy for me to call Protective Services just because of the horror stories that you hear.
Kiwana Morton said she heard about the same allegations against Butts from a conversation with his girlfriend. 2 months after her cousins called to CPS, she would file her own complaint.
I told them that there's a problem and they need to be aware of it. I am 90% sure that there's sexual abuse going on within the home.
Did you specifically mention Jarvis by name?
Yes, absolutely.
Internal CPS records we obtained show that investigators looked into that complaint, conducting a face-to-face interview with Butts, who strongly denied the allegation. A forensic interview was conducted with the alleged victim, and no disclosures were made. CPS said the home was clean and free of observed safety concerns. The allegation was denied, assigned a low risk level. These are 2 complaints of at least 5 filed with CPS since 2015, naming Jarvis Butts. They allege concerns about possible molestation, physical abuse, or living conditions. Some of the complaints are generic, and none would ultimately substantiate that Butts was improperly touching children. Just over a year after the last complaint on record, Butts would be charged with sexually assaulting and murdering Naziah Harris.
I'm brokenhearted because this could have been prevented. All of it could have been prevented.
What I'm going to try to do, because it's very small, is read the actual report that is showing on screen. Okay, so the date is 6/10/22, and this is allegation details, disproportion summary, disproportion narrative. Based on the investigation findings, there is not a preponderance of evidence to support the allegation of sexual abuse for redacted by redacted. Face-to-face interview was conducted with both parents. According to Mr. Butts, he has not seen the children he has with redacted in months. He stated he has not sexually abused any of his children in any way. He stated it's redacted someone would say that about him. He stated it doesn't look good either that when you look him up, he was convicted of a sex crime. However, that was 20 years ago. according to Redacted, was shocked at the allegation, and this was all new to her. Redacted stated her three oldest children ask for their father all of the time, and he will come over every time they call him. Redacted stated she and Mr. Butts have an open visitation policy. Redacted stated has never came to her with any assumptions, accusations against her father, and neither have any of her other children. MDHHS sent a link to the Waynes County prosecutor and Detective PD. MDHHS completed a referral to Kids Talk for Redacted, and Redacted was forensically interviewed. There was no disclosure. A home assessment was completed. The house was clean, had working utilities, and adequate supply of food, and was free of any observed safety concerns. Safety plans. A safety plan was not created due to Mr. Butts not agreeing to be separated from his children. This case will be denied as a Category 4 with a low-key level. No one will be placed on correctional registration. The family was provided with a DHS 1450, Pub 137, and a list of resources that can be used throughout McCobb County. And so that's the report. Now you've seen the video and you heard what was actually in the report. I don't understand why this family is still trying to push the narrative that it's CPS fault that Naziah is no longer living. It's CPS fault that those other girls had to experience SA from Jarvis Butts. The main person that is at fault with this situation is Jarvis Butts. The second is these women who knew what he was doing and still allowed him to be around their kids. And the third is that the people did not call the police because he was not supposed to be around children. Once they seen him around other children, because he can be around his kids legally, as long as there was nothing said that he did wrong with his kids and proven that he SA'd his kids, he can be around his kids legally. You've seen in the report that CPS did go to the household. CPS talked to the kids that was involved. CPS talked to the mother, and CPS talked to Jarvis. As you can see, when they asked the mother, was anything going on, she said no. She was surprised at the allegation against Jarvis. Of course, Jarvis is going to say no. He's not going to confess and say, okay, yeah, I did it. You expect him to lie. But the mother had an opportunity to say, well, this is what I heard, or this is what my child told me, or this is what I know. She had that opportunity. And then you see they took the child into a facility that they had forensic investigation done. So what that means is that they had someone who's trained to talk to kids to kind of get down to what's going on, to get a better understanding if someone SA'd them or someone touched them. They did that. And I understand children be scared, so they might not tell, or they may have been told not to tell. So the child said nothing happened, they're all right, they're fine. So they didn't have anything to go on. Because like I said, him being in the household with his own kids, that was okay, even though he was a pedophile, even though he was on the registered list. He did nothing wrong as far as just being in the household with his kids. But as soon as he was out at a party where there's other kids, if he was at a school function, he is breaking the law according to him being a registered sex offender. He's not supposed to be around anyone else's kids. So therefore, explain to me what I'm missing when it comes to CPS did not do their job. Just like the cousin, Koana Morton, just like she stated, she told that there was SA in the household. They went out there to investigate. Once again, the mother said, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you're talking about. So if these people are not speaking up, what is CPS to do? They can't just go in and take all the kids and because they would be wrong, because they're going to say, okay, what proof do you have? Like I said, I understand the child may be afraid to speak up and say this happened to me, but the mother know what's happening. She's the one who's telling other people what's going on, but she refused to speak up. She refused to say, yes, he did this, because as soon as she found out, why not call the police and have him taken to jail? Why not put him out of your household? Why not get him away from your kids and all these other kids? So the people, because Jarvis already proven himself to be a pedophile, to be a predator, doing what predators do. He was already proven a predator. These women allowed this predator around these kids, and now they want to say it's CPS's fault. I understand, because I'm not holding CPS on this pedestal like they can't do any wrong, but at the same time, the first line of defense when it comes to a child is their parent. And if the parent is not speaking up saying, yes, my child is being abused, what do you expect CPS to do? That's just like a woman is in an abusive relationship and someone hear the fighting and the police is called and police come and say, okay, what happened? And they say nothing happened, I'm fine. Oh, he didn't hit you? No, he didn't hit me. The police can't, if there's no obvious bruises, the police can't do anything. All they can do is just walk away. CPS came in there, they examined, they spoke to everybody that was involved. They even went a step further, and like I said, they had a forensic interview with the child. Then they seen the house was clean. There was no evidence of anything, that they could see within the household. There was adequate food, so the child appeared on the outside to be taken care of. What did they want CPS to do? This is what I'm trying to understand. Why not say to the person who lied and say, there's nothing going on in the household, why not say something about them? Because they would have been held accountable. Because if they would have went in there and been honest and say, okay, yeah, I know this man is SAing my child, but I refuse to put him out. I refuse to call the police. It took someone else to file a report to CPS because I didn't want to do it. They know that the children would have been taken out of that household. So that parent is not protecting that child, but they still want to put it on CPS. As I was reading some of the comments, there was like, yeah, CPS need to go to jail. What about the parent who lied and said nothing's going on? What about all the adults that knew but still said nothing? What about all the adults that knew but still allowed him around their kids? Should they be held accountable? That's what I'm trying to understand. So if you have resources to help you and you refuse to use those resources, then that's on you. These parents who knew what he was doing had resources. CPS as well as the police first, because he's violating everything. Tell the truth second. This is what this man is doing. He's a predator. He hasn't stopped his behavior. He's still doing it. I want him locked up. So it's like, this man could have been stopped if these women would not have brought a predator around these children, knowing that he's not supposed to be around any children. And there's a possibility that he might even hurt his own kids when you know the man is a predator. This is what women need to wake up and understand. You can't put it off. If you're there and you're in that situation, that's your household, you know what's going on, get him out of there. Get him away from the kids. Get him locked up. These women have to start waking up and stop protecting these men and start protecting these children.